Let's get right into it. Number 10. Office cubicles. Imagine being told, hey, this cardboard box you're living in is just temporary, and then spending the next 50 years in that box. That's basically what happened with office cubicles. Back in 1964, this designer named Robert Probst looked at offices and thought, wow, these open floor plans are terrible. He wasn't wrong. People were basically working in a human parking lot, so he came up with what he called the action office, a flexible system of walls and desks that could be moved around. It was supposed to give workers privacy while still letting them collaborate, but then corporate America got its hands on it. They saw those movable walls and thought, hey, we can fit more people in less space. The dream of a flexible workspace turned into what we now call the cube farm. It's like they took the concept of personal space and ran it through a paper shredder. These temporary walls became more permanent than some marriages, and about as depressing too. The guy who invented cubicles later said they turned into monolithic insanity. That's like inventing the sandwich and watching it become a torture device. Companies loved these things because they were cheap and could pack workers in like sardines. Except sardines probably have more personal space. The worst part is, we all know they're terrible. Studies show they increase stress, decrease productivity, and make people feel like their soul is being slowly crushed by beige walls. But here we are, 50 years later, still sitting in these fabric-covered boxes, because apparently, it's easier to accept misery if it comes with a pushpin board. Number 9. Prefabricated post-war homes. Imagine it's 1945, World War II just ended, and everyone's coming home to no homes. Bombs had turned countless houses into piles of rubble. The government needed a quick fix, so they came up with these prefab houses, basically IKEA homes before IKEA was even a thing. These houses were built in factories piece by piece, like giant toy sets. Then they'd ship them out and put them together in just a day or two. The plan was simple. Use these as temporary homes for about 10 years. By then, they'd build real houses to replace them. These prefabs were pretty basic. Just a kitchen, living room, 2 bedrooms, and a tiny bathroom. But compared to sharing a cramped apartment with 3 other families, it was like moving into a palace. These temporary houses had some surprisingly modern features: indoor toilets, hot water, and built-in storage. Some even had refrigerators when most people were still using ice boxes. The government promised these houses would last 10 years tops. Someone forgot to tell the houses that. Fast forward to today, 75 years later, and thousands of these temporary homes are still standing. Not only standing, people are fighting to live in them. Some residents have been in their temporary prefab since the 1940s. The funniest part is some of these temporary houses are now protected historical buildings. It's like when your cousin crashes on your couch just for a week and is still there 3 years later, only these houses have been overstaying their welcome for 7 decades. Number 8. Area codes. Back in the 1940s, phone companies needed a way to organize phone numbers across America. Their solution was to give important cities the fastest numbers to dial on rotary phones. New York got 212 because those numbers were quick to dial. Small movements, less waiting for that wheel to spin back. Meanwhile, Alaska got stuck with 907 because who cares how long it takes to call Alaska? It's like giving your favorite kid the bedroom next to the kitchen and making the troublemaker climb 3 flights of stairs. This temporary system was supposed to last until they came up with something better. That was 75 years ago. We've gone from rotary phones to smartphones that can run entire businesses, but we're still using a number system based on how fast your great-grandma could spin a plastic wheel. When they run out of numbers in an area, they don't reorganize the system. Nope, they just slap a new area code on top of the old one. Manhattan now has 212, 646, and 332. We're solving 21st century problems with 1940s logic. It's like fixing your Tesla with parts from a Model T. Businesses still fight over 212 numbers in New York. They'll pay thousands of dollars for a prestigious area code that was assigned based on rotary phone convenience. That's like bragging about having a really efficient horse and buggy parking spot in downtown Manhattan. Number 7. The B-52 bomber. Imagine flying a plane that's older than your grandparents. That's exactly what's happening with the B-52 bomber. These massive war machines were built back when color television was still a crazy new invention. They were supposed to be temporary, just something to use until better planes came along. Every plane that was meant to replace the B-52 is now in an aviation museum. Meanwhile, these old birds are still soaring through the skies. The Air Force plans to keep them flying until the 2050s. That means some pilots will be flying the exact same plane their great-grandfather flew. It's like inheriting your great-grandpa's car, except this one can carry nuclear weapons. The B-52 is so old that mechanics sometimes have to get spare parts from aircraft boneyards. These ancient bombers are still getting upgrades. They're basically the ship of Theseus with wings. Every part has been replaced so many times that the only original thing left is the serial number. The Air Force keeps trying to retire them, but they just won't die. The pilots even have a saying, when the nuclear apocalypse comes, all that will be left are cockroaches and B-52s. These planes have outlived the Soviet Union, 8 presidents, and countless attempts to replace them. Number 6. The emergency meat that never left. It's 1937. The Great Depression is in full swing. Hormel Foods needs a cheap way to feed people protein, so they take all the leftover pork bits, grind them up, add some salt and preservatives. They create Spam. This was supposed to be temporary survival food, something to get folks through hard times. Then World War II hits, and suddenly Spam becomes essential. The military is shipping these little metal bricks of meat everywhere. American soldiers are eating it. British soldiers are eating it. The Soviet army is eating it. Even civilians in war-torn countries are surviving on it. After the war ends, something weird happens. Instead of disappearing, Spam just stays. In Hawaii, they started making Spam musubi, basically sushi but with fried Spam instead of fish. It's now their unofficial state food. In South Korea, Spam is considered a luxury gift. People give fancy Spam gift sets during holidays. The same meat product that started as Depression-era survival food is now a premium present. The Philippines loves Spam so much they put it in everything from breakfast to dessert. Hormel sells about 122 million cans of Spam every year. This temporary solution to food shortages has outlasted 8 decades, multiple wars, and countless food trends. It survived being the brunt of jokes, inspired a Monty Python sketch, and even has its own museum in Minnesota. Number 5. The Internet's address system. Imagine building a hotel with 4.3 billion rooms, thinking nobody will ever need more than that. That's exactly what happened with the Internet's address system back in the 1970s. These guys were just doing a little experiment, trying to connect a few computers together. They came up with IPv4, a system that gives every device on the internet its own unique address. 4.3 billion addresses seemed infinite back then. In the 70s, most people thought computers would always be these massive machines that only governments and big companies would have. Nobody predicted that one day your toaster would need an internet address, or that your fridge would want to tweet about how empty it is. But here we are, living in a world where even your light bulbs need their own spot on the internet. We officially ran out of addresses in 2011. The internet is still working through a series of increasingly desperate workarounds. It's like trying to fit 10 billion people in that 4.3 billion room hotel. We're basically making people share rooms and using complicated systems to figure out who's who. Imagine having to go through a receptionist every time you want to find someone in the hotel. That's basically what your router does. It's like a tired hotel manager trying to keep track of which devices are sharing which addresses. There's a new system called IPv6 that has way more addresses, like enough addresses for every grain of sand on Earth to have its own website. But switching to IPv6 is like trying to rebuild every road in the world at the same time, while everyone's still driving on them. So we're stuck with this temporary solution from the 70s. It's held together with digital duct tape and hope. Number 4. The language running your bank. Imagine you're at an ATM, withdrawing some cash. You punch in your PIN, hit withdraw, and out comes your money. Pretty simple. Behind that simple transaction is a programming language older than the moon landing. It's called COBOL, and it was created back in 1959 as a quick fix for business computers. The creators thought it would be replaced within a few years, but it wasn't. COBOL still runs about 95% of ATM transactions. Every time you swipe your card, you're basically talking to a computer program that's collecting Social Security. It's like having your grandpa handle your finances, but in computer form. Banks tried to replace COBOL multiple times, but there are over 220 billion lines of COBOL code running right now. That's like trying to replace every brick in every building in New York City while people are still living in them. Most COBOL programmers are retiring or have already retired. The average age of a COBOL programmer is over 60. Banks are so desperate for COBOL programmers that they're offering 6-figure salaries to anyone who can learn it. You could make more money learning a 60-year-old computer language than learning the latest tech. It's like being paid big bucks to become fluent in Latin, except Latin isn't controlling trillions of dollars in global banking. Number 3. Social Security numbers. Imagine using a paper napkin as your front door for 50 years. That's basically what we're doing with Social Security numbers. Back in 1935, the government created these numbers for one simple job: tracking your retirement benefits. It's like giving someone a spoon to eat soup, but then they start using it as a hammer, screwdriver, and car key. The government even promised, hey, this will never be used as a national ID. That aged about as well as milk left in a hot car. Now your social security number is the master key to your entire life. Want to open a bank account? SSN, please. Need a credit card? SSN. Getting a job? SSN. Stubbed your toe? Might as well show your SSN. These numbers weren't designed for security at all. It's like using your mom's maiden name as your bank vault combination and posting it on a billboard and telling everyone who walks by. Originally, the numbers were structured in a way that gave away information about you, like what state you were born in. It was like having a house key that's just your birthday written in crayon, and now we're stuck with it. Banks built their systems around it. Government agencies can't function without it. It's like we built an entire city on quicksand and now we're too scared to move. The worst part is identity theft has become a permanent industry. Criminals steal these numbers like kids stealing candy from an unlocked store, except instead of getting a sugar rush, they get your life savings. So next time someone asks for your social security number, remember, you're basically handing them a key that was meant to open a piggy bank, but now opens your entire life, and we're all just pretending this is fine. Number 2, the leap second. Imagine having to pause the entire internet, every stock market, and basically all of modern civilization just to wait for Earth to catch up with our clocks. That's exactly what we've been doing since 1972. Back then, scientists realized we had a weird problem. Our atomic clocks were too accurate. These clocks are so precise, they wouldn't lose a second even if they ran for 100 million years. But Earth doesn't care about our perfect clocks. Our planet is like that friend who's always running late to everything. Sometimes it spins a little faster, sometimes a little slower. This is because of things like the moon's gravity, melting ice caps, and even earthquakes affecting Earth's rotation. We came up with the leap second. Whenever Earth falls too far behind our atomic clocks, we literally pause time for 1 second to let it catch up. It's like hitting the snooze button on civilization. During a leap second, digital clocks will show something that should be impossible. 23:59:60. In 2012, it crashed Reddit, LinkedIn, and basically half the internet. In 2017, it messed up Cloudflare's security system and took down parts of the web. The whole arrangement was meant to be a quick fix. That was 50 years ago. We're still using it. Tech companies are now begging to get rid of leap seconds because they're tired of their systems crashing every few years just because Earth can't keep good time. Number 1, the US dollar. Imagine you're at work and your boss says, "Can you cover for Steve?" Just for a few days while he's out. Fast forward 50 years, and you're still covering for Steve. That's what happened with the US dollar. Back in 1944, the world had a problem. World War II had destroyed most countries' economies. Everyone was using different currencies, and nobody trusted anybody else's money. It was like having a group chat where everyone's speaking different languages, and nobody has Google Translate. So world leaders met at this fancy hotel in New Hampshire and came up with a temporary solution. Let's all use the US dollar as a backup currency for now, just until things settle down. The US had most of the world's gold at the time, and their economy wasn't bombed to bits, so everyone agreed. You could trade in your dollars for gold at any time, at a fixed rate. It was like having a gift card that worked at every store in the world. But in 1971, France looked at their dollars and said, "We'll take that gold now." Other countries followed, and the US didn't actually have enough gold for everyone. So President Nixon went on TV and said, "About that gold thing, we're not doing that anymore." This was supposed to be the end of the dollar's reign as world currency, but nothing changed. Countries just kept using dollars anyway, like someone forgot to tell the world it was over. Today, about 60% of all foreign bank reserves are in US dollars. Nearly 90% of all foreign exchange trades involve dollars. It's like using your ex's Netflix account years after you broke up. It wasn't supposed to work this way, but here we are. The US dollar is still working its temporary job from 1944. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.